The Baltimore Ravens are taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers at home in the wild card round. Let's talk about that and the rest of the NFL playoffs and how locked in Lamar is to win the Super Bowl. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to TTB Ravens Media. And in this video, like I said in the intro, I'm going to be talking about the playoffs as a whole from the Baltimore Ravens perspective. I'm not talking about any of the other games, just the Ravens games that they will play this week and possible matchups throughout the rest of the postseason and into February. But first off, I want to say welcome. I want to say I apologize. Videos have not been as consistent as I would like them to be. I'm trying to get better. I'm trying to put out a video every day until the pregame show for this game on Saturday. We're going to put out a pregame show. We're going to have a postgame show. I was in California, and then my internet went down all day on Saturday when the Ravens played. That's why I couldn't have a postgame show. So was not home, just got back last night, making a video today. I apologize, but hopefully you guys are able to stick with me and, ride out this postseason and hopefully, get to the Super Bowl. But first off, the Ravens are taking on the Steelers. Obviously, the Steelers were the last team I think I wanted to play in the first round of the playoffs of the wild card teams or potential teams if the Ravens were a wild card team of the division winners, because it was either the Steelers, the Texans, the Broncos, or the Chargers were really the options for the Ravens to play the last couple of weeks. And I didn't want to play the Steelers, not because I think the Steelers are the best team out of that entire grouping. I think the best team of that grouping, I would not want to play, the Chargers if it's from the sense of, hey, the Chargers, I think, are the best team that the Ravens could have possibly played. However, the Chargers were the team that I wanted to play. I feel like the Ravens match up best against them. The Steelers, on the other hand, the Ravens play them twice a year, every year of the entire team's history. And both teams play the exact same way. They want to run the football. They play extremely physical. And that means it's the most physical game in all of the NFL. And when you're playing in the postseason, and, you have to get ready for, the next week. You have to be ready to go each week. There's no off games, right? You don't play them and then go play, the Panthers. You don't play them and then go play the Patriots. You play them and then probably play somebody better if you're able to win. So, playing against the Steelers, very physical team, a team that's had the better of the Ravens historically. But at the same time, Lamar Jackson, we talked about it when the Ravens took on the Steelers, 4 or 5 weeks ago. That was his first time playing the Steelers at home with a home crowd, and the Ravens ended up playing pretty well. So, you do have to take into consideration when you look at Lamar's record against the Steelers, it's not necessarily saying like, oh, he can't beat them. It's like he was essentially playing on the road in a tough environment every single time. And when he played them at home, it was, nobody in the stands. I think it was like 4,000 fans in the stands. So the game being at home is huge. I love that it's going to be the night game. Ravens Steelers in prime time. I feel like it's a requirement. And my buddy Maddox, who has been on the channel, he was on the channel for the first Ravens Steelers game. We talked about it, like, how are we not getting primetime Ravens Steelers this year? We are. Maybe the schedule makers knew, like, they have to get at least one in, and this game's going to be massive. And Zay Flowers is probably going to be out, which is a massive loss for the Ravens because he is their number one target. He is the separator. He's played very well against Joey Porter Jr. in the last couple of matchups. He's drawn some penalties. He's gotten open. He scored a touchdown in the last game. So, losing him is unfortunate. We're going to have to rely a little bit more on Rashad Bateman, rely a little bit more on Isaiah Likely, using more 2 tight end sets. Then obviously relying more on that run game, which is going to be harder because the Steelers are going to be able to sell out more towards the run, because I feel like they're going to be more willing to give up the pass if Zay Flowers isn't on the field, because he's the most electric after the catch player the Ravens have on the team. Rashad Bateman, not terrible after the catch, but he's not Zay Flowers after the catch. Isaiah Likely is very good after the catch, but in a different sense, right? Isaiah Likely is going to break tackles. He's not going to like juke and then run by everybody like a Zay Flowers might do. So Steelers going to be locked in on that run game. Play action could be a little bit better this week than it was the last couple of times we played them. But, overall, tough magic, physical game. Very excited to see what happens. I think it's a great matchup for the NFL. I think it's one of the 3 best games we have going into this weekend, right? Like, I think Eagles Packers, I think, is going to be really entertaining. And then I think Broncos Bills as well could be a really fun game to watch. But, kind of moving into the next sort of round. So obviously if the Ravens are able to win, The potential teams that they would be facing, they would not play the Broncos. They would most likely play the Bills if the Bills were to win. But they could, excuse me, they could end up playing the Texans or the Chargers. That would be if the Bills were to lose. The Ravens would slide into that, second highest overall tier and play the winner of, Chargers versus Texans. I assume that will be the Chargers that win that game because of how injured Houston is and how well the Chargers are rolling right now. But obviously, the most likely scenario is the Ravens will have to travel into Buffalo to play Josh Allen and the Bills. And I think that is what the NFL wants. That's what the NFL fans want, right? That is the matchup of two MVP cases. Again, I think it should be Lamar. I think Josh Allen's probably going to win it. But, two of the best quarterbacks in the NFL probably playing to have a chance to take on Patrick Mahomes. So, just the path that the Baltimore Ravens are most likely going to have to take if they were to get to the Super Bowl, if they are to win the Super Bowl, right? I think it's probably the hardest path since the Baltimore Ravens won the Super Bowl in 2012, right? Like, I'm looking at this like, hey, this is almost the same thing. You look at what happened back then, right? First game you play against a young but very good Colts team and Andrew Luck, who's one of the best who was, I think it was year 2 for him, but he was still one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL at that point. The Ravens beat him, and they have to go take on, Peyton Manning, who was having a fantastic season. This is obviously the year before he won his MVP, setting the passing record, but it's Peyton Manning. Everyone knows Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning and the Broncos were kind of favored to win it all that year. That was the team that was like, okay, they're going to take down the Patriots. They're going to get to the Super Bowl. Ravens have to go into Denver, right? Another difficult place to play. Difficult weather. It was very cold. Obviously, the altitude, kind of similar to Buffalo. A little different. Obviously, the altitude's different, but it's going to be tough weather. Very, vocal fan base. And again, you're playing one of the 3 best quarterbacks in the NFL. And then you have to travel into, most likely, Arrowhead, just like we had to travel into Foxborough, where we had lost the previous AFC Championship game, where we had a massive play, really a couple of massive plays. We have a dropped game-winning touchdown and then a missed game-winning field goal or game-tying field goal that goes, wide and like maybe over the, pile, but he missed it. Cundiff missed it. So, like, those right there, like coming off an AFC Championship loss, you're going to have to play the best quarterback, or what most people say is the best quarterback in the NFL, on the road in a very difficult place to play. Again, going to be very cold, very difficult to play with, again, Hall of Fame, first ballot Hall of Fame tight end. They've won multiple Super Bowls. Like that right there, like already, like that's almost a carbon copy of what we did in 2012. With Joe Flacco and company. And then you look at who are the potential Super Bowl matchups, right? Back in 2012, we faced the up and coming San Francisco 49ers, right? With a kind of a unique system, a very difficult offense to stop with a very good defense, right? That was the year Kaepernick kind of took over. And everyone had Capper tats. I remember they were selling those, and like it was just like Kaepernick mania. Like that was like the people's team. And I feel like that could be a couple of teams this year, right? Like I think the Lions is a great example, right? An extremely difficult offense to stop, very unique offensive scheme. Obviously they don't have Kaepernick, they have Jared Goff, but it's just a team that everyone feels like they're kind of getting behind, rallying behind. That's the team they want to win, right? They're rooting for Dan Campbell, they're rooting for Goff, they're rooting for Gibbs and Montgomery, and I think that's the favorite to come out of the NFC. I don't want to go through every team and all those possible matchups, but overall, I think that this is a very similar path to what the Ravens had to do back in 2012, and technically might have been 2013. I never know when which year they counted as. I always say it's 2012, but overall, very similar. Obviously, a lot of people have seen that every 12 years the Ravens win the Super Bowl with a 28-year-old quarterback scoring 34 points. I'm cool with that. Let's do it. Lamar just turned 28. Happy birthday, Lamar. Happy birthday, Derrick Henry. I think he just turned 31 as well. He did that on Saturday. But the biggest thing that I'm seeing from Lamar Jackson, not only, the last week, not only in interviews the last couple of weeks, but, this entire year, ever since that loss to the Chiefs, was like he was taking a different approach. He was fully locked in from the jump. Like this offseason, like it was like he wasn't like trying to be crazy and have a ton of fun. It was like he was locked into practice. He's been locked in during the games. He's been locked in the interviews, right? Because he's learned from 2019, right? He's learned from dancing on the sideline and all that stuff. Like he scores a touchdown. The Ravens win the game, and he's sitting there and he's pissed. He's like, man, I had that fumble. I threw that pick. Like I'm pissed about that. Like cool, we won, but like I know that like remember the Titans, right? Like Lamar Jackson is expecting perfection. Like that is the goal that he is working towards. Shout out to Coach Boone. Rest in peace to Coach Boone. He actually passed away a couple years ago. Not Denzel, but like the person he was playing passed away. But overall, this Ravens team is led by Lamar Jackson, and Lamar Jackson is bringing a different focus and different clarity to this team. I think he's going to make sure not only does he play poised, calm, and ready and exciting, but he's also going to make sure that he gets his guys involved. I think he's going to say, hey, we didn't give the ball to our running backs against the Chiefs. We're going to give the ball to Derrick Henry. This is why we got Derrick Henry. And Derrick Henry is the type of guy where he will go up to Lamar Jackson. He will go up to John Harbaugh. He will tell Lamar Jackson, call Todd Monken. And he will say, give me the ball, right? He's like, I know what I can do. I've been to the AFC Championship. He's like, I beat the 12-win streak Baltimore Ravens single-handedly. That was Derrick Henry that beat us in 2019. It was not Ryan Tannehill. It was nobody else. It was Derrick Henry ran the ball down our throats. That's how you win when you're playing in these cold weather games. The Ravens are not going to play a warm weather game in these playoffs. There's no possible way. Because either they're playing at home, Baltimore's not going to be warm, or they're playing in Buffalo, or they're playing in Kansas City. Those are the options. They don't get to go play down in Houston in a dome. They don't get to go play the Chargers in the dome. The Super Bowl could be a warm game. Playing that one in New Orleans in a dome, that could absolutely be a warm game. So hopefully they get there because Lamar prefers the warmth. It's a lot easier to throw the football. It's also going to be windy. I think people need to, temper expectations based on the wind. A lot of people were probably upset with the Browns game, right? Felt like Lamar Jackson wasn't hitting, those deep balls, those 30-yard throws that, he was hitting earlier in the year. And it's like, dude, but like, look at that throw against the Chargers. Look at that throw against the Buccaneers, both of those deep to Bateman. It's like, yeah, he hit those. Very different weather situations, right? When you're playing in, January, when you're playing in late December in a place like Baltimore, in a place like Buffalo, in a place like Kansas City, you got to cut through the wind, right? That's why, everyone says like it comes down to running the football and playing defense. Benefit is Ravens are the best run defense in the NFL. They're the best rushing attack in the history of the NFL in terms of yards per carry, beating out the Jim Brown Browns. Like this is a team that knows how to win, and they're built to win in difficult weather and in cold weather football games. They're just going to make sure that they follow the script. Don't get too cute. Don't get too flashy, right? You can call a trick play or something like that, but don't rely on it, right? Don't call more than one, right? You get to, 3rd and 1, give the ball to Derrick Henry, right? You get the ball in 2nd and 1. Sure, you can take a hard play action, try a deep shot. But in reality, like, don't force it. Lean on your guys. The Baltimore Ravens could be fine in that. That's why this is a team that could absolutely go all the way and win the Super Bowl this year. Everybody, thank you all so much for watching. Subscribe for more Ravens content. I'll be back tomorrow. I'm also posting a little bit of shorts as well. I posted one on short. I post more on TikTok. I've been getting back into posting on TTB's TikTok account. So go check that out if you want to see more just random NFL. It's not specifically Ravens related. I post Ravens stuff sometimes. But thank you all so much for watching. Subscribe for more. And I'll see all of you again tomorrow.